Welcome to Creature Guide Live Prehistoric News. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ethan. Today we're going over sauropods, dromaeosaurs, as well as elephants. So we're streaming on both Rumble, YouTube, and Kick. So from Sci News, new sauropod dinosaur discovered in Uzbekistan. Paleontologists have identified a new genus and species of Rebbachosaur dinosaur from a fossil uncovered in Uzbekistan. So this is interesting to hear coming in from Central Asia. Not a lot of different species of dinosaurs in general come from this part of the world, and definitely less so as you head further west into Asia. And they become much more abundant as you reach different parts of China, Mongolia, different parts of Eastern Russia, and as well even Southeast Asia, especially over in Thailand, parts of Laos, Taiwan a little less so. Of course, Korea and Japan, even they to a smaller extent. So this is definitely a very good depiction of a Rebeccasaur sauropod. This is a lineage of diplodocids that evolved somewhere around 150 million years ago during the last 5 to 8 million years of the Jurassic period, and then mysteriously went extinct shortly into the late Cretaceous, a bit after many of the larger titanosaurs, but going extinct somewhere around 90 million years ago. So the newly discovered dinosaur roamed Earth approximately 92 million years ago during the Turonian stage of the late Cretaceous epoch. So this animal was one of the last species of Rebbachosaurs to exist. Dubbed does Heart Titanus kangai, it belongs to Rebbachosauridae, a large family of plant-eating dinosaurs. A single isolated vertebrae of the new dinosaur was recovered from the bisecti formation at Deshara Kaduk in Navoy Vilat, Uzbekistan. So when it comes to the Rebecca swords in general, there have been over at least 15 different species of Rebecca sword that have been discovered. They are quite abundant within the Diplodocid lineage. So this specimen was found by paleontologists during the URBAC International Expedition in 1997. This is the first Rebecca reported from Asia and one of the youngest Rebecca in the known fossil record. Dr. Alexander Avrianov of St. Petersburg Zoological Institute and Dr. Hans Dieter Suze of Smithsonian Institution wrote in their paper. The Rebeccasauridae is the second sauropod group identified in the assemblage of non-avian dinosaurs from the Bisecti formation, in addition to a previously identified indeterminate Titanosaurian. Well, these are exquisitely well-preserved vertebra, though I wonder if it's the same one as well. It's just different sides of it. I'm guessing that's what it is. Hmm. Likely very hollow boned, especially for it being a member of the Diplodocid lineage, which were some of the most lightly built species of sauropod to evolve, much less so compared to the different species of larger titanosaurs, even mid-sized titanosaurs. Many Rebbachosaurs, you could say, were on the smaller end of sauropods in general when it came to both length and weight. So, um, who should we bring up? Maybe okay, let's bring up a species of sauropod related to this animal, the Hueplosaurus.
Okay, no idea.
Hueplosaurus. Oh, it's not coming up at all?
You said HUEP, right?
Yeah. Oh.
There's a Hyplosaurus.
Is that who I'm confusing it with?
I don't think so. Hold on, I'll show it to you.
Should be another long neck.
Well, has a long neck.
Okay. Oh, Hyphalosaurus. Yeah, this is some lineage of the Sauropterygian marine reptiles. It's also not closely related to the long-necked plesiosaurs, the short-necked large-skulled pliosaurs, or the mosasaurs. This is likely a species of reptile from the Triassic. it could be slightly earlier, but I doubt it's Permian period. Um, Maybe existing somewhere around 230 to 240 million years ago. Considering around that time frame during the Triassic, we have a wide range of different species of odd, lightly built marine reptiles, also with longer, slender necks, and in many cases, ovalish shaped skulls. Also, very distinct shaped fingers as well.
So what did you
Um,
want me to get?
yeah, well, maybe I'm going to try the spelling one more time. Haeplous. The long neck or an ankylosaur or
It's bringing up all kinds of things because it's saying, "Did you mean allosaurs?"
what? Okay. No. Um, okay. So
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. I think it brought it up, but it brought it up as a paste.
that
Paste.
is odd how that occurs when you're asking for something that is completely unrelated to some species of theropod. This is probably this is probably him, but it's definitely an older reconstruction. I mean, it's still not a
Is it a haplacanthosaurus?
that's not who I was going after, but there might be another species of sauropod. I don't believe a member of the Rebeccasaur lineage, however. But, this seems to be it definitely has, like, a more, shorter titanosaur, like, in terms of length sort of accumulation to it. Haplocanthosaurus. Okay, so, yeah, this is another lineage of, titanosaur or diplodocid, I believe.
I
Could
forget
be a
how many are in
diplodocid.
there. I mean, how many are there?
When it comes to sauropods in general, it's pushing somewhere around 200 different species. So, you have it where they first evolved around 180 million years ago during the end of the late Jurassic, and then go extinct at around 66 million years ago at the end of the Cretaceous. During the late Cretaceous, however, there are many different gaps in many parts of the world where sauropods went through a bit of an absence in their evolution, which is quite odd. And then all of a sudden, towards the very end of the Cretaceous, we start seeing in different parts of North America, Asia, and you could say certain smaller areas of Northern Africa, Central Europe, species of sauropods start to increase in variety somehow, but it is quite odd. It was definitely a big decrease right between 90 and 95 million years ago. Where 95 million years ago, you had different species of later diplodocids, as well as a wide range of titanosaurs go extinct, especially over in South America and Asia. North America, the sauropods slightly earlier into the Cretaceous had quite diminished in variety. They're not heard very often, or at least they're not really found in the fossil record in many late Cretaceous sediments. It's not really until somewhere around 70 to 72 million years ago that you start seeing some of the last species of sauropods inhabiting North America, or at least showing up on the fossil record. Haplocanthosaurus, I believe, was somewhere around 60 feet in length or pushing up to 18, 20 meters, and likely weighed somewhere around 20 to 25 tons. So, um,
Try. Somebody made a comment, and I don't understand it.
what?
Snaplecnic Snaplecnic said, "What the sigma?"
Well, that's not paleo. Um, yeah, like, hey, let's head back to the article. So, all previous records of Rebeccasaur dinosaurs came from a narrow band extending from southernmost South America through the northeastern South America. Wait, through the northeastern South America and northwest. What on earth? Um, Sheesh. Now even the article is becoming once again incoherent. Okay. Rebeccasaurs were found, or thrive throughout different parts of South America, Africa, and Europe. I believe there have been a couple of species found in Asia as well, but this would be one of those specific species because Uzbekistan is over in Central Asia. So the discovery of Dizara titanus kangai now considerably extends the known distribution of this group to the east. It is most likely that these dispersed to Central Asia from Europe, but it is not clear when this could have occurred. I mean, I'm going to guess maybe it's some part in the early Cretaceous. We just haven't found certain other fossilized specimens. Not as much research is done, obviously, over in Central Europe. So we could be not Central Europe, Central Asia. So we could be missing several different species of sauropods from this part of the world, especially from the early Cretaceous. And this is from the late Cretaceous, like 92 million years ago.
I just tried to get past the fact that there's over 200 species of them.
Well, there's probably more now, considering that was from maybe a couple years back, and we've found a handful of sauropods since then. Now, you do have it where we find new species of sauropods and then other species become invalid, so they sort of fill in the lost species or the invalid species. The Rebeccasauridae possibly dispersed from Europe to Asia via land bridge across the Turgai Strait sometime between the Boremian and Turonian. So, yeah, this is a bit earlier into the Cretaceous. It's not hitting me where specifically the Turgai Strait was. Oh, that's it. Okay. Oh, this is very good to hear, considering it's coming from Central
Where's
Asia.
it at?
What, Uzbekistan?
No, no, the Turkish Strait.
Here.
Hold on.
There's a wide variety of different straits throughout the world. Um, I think most, or at least when people think of certain straits, they're probably most familiar with the Bering Strait over between Russia and Alaska, which was a major land bridge, especially back during the Ice Age. So over a million years ago, and you had it where different species of elephants, different species of bears, canids, cats were using that land bridge. Rhinos, sloths. I'm guessing it's
Can you find it?
right in the center. So I'm guessing that's like adjacent to where Kazakhstan is now. Maybe the Tibetan plateau of China.
Okay, I'm blind. Where is it?
Right there.
Oh,
But it has a question mark.
yeah, that's.
So
I just saw that.
I'm guessing that's still where it could possibly be. And then the Siberian Sea, yeah, is completely cut off. Like there's a species of seal there that it's like that it is salt water in the Siberian Sea, but it's completely cut off from every other ocean. And there's a seal there that is only endemic to that landlocked sea. And yes, earlier in that seal's evolution, um, I think like maybe it's called the Siberian lake seal. I'll have to double check. But earlier in its evolution, it was connected to the main ocean, and then it just got landlocked. So heading forward in time from or to the Cenozoic era, elephants returned to Mount Elgon side of Uganda after 4 decades. Well, this is very intriguing to hear. This is a safari lodge. Let's see. So, according to monitoring with tracking collars by the Mount Elgon Foundation, last year at least 60 elephants crossed from Kenya into the Ugandan side of Mount Elgon, a vast volcanic mountain that straddles the border, returning to a part of their natural range where they've not been seen for over 40 years. MEF funds community projects aimed at reducing forest degradation and raising awareness of environmental issues, as well as a team of 18 community scouts on the Kenyan side of the mountain, part of the East African Wildlife Society's Mount Elgin Elephant Project. MEF's chair, Chris Powles, told Mongabe that back in 2022, scouts tracked 4 elephants crossing the Swam River, which marks the border between the two countries. So, Mount Elgin National Park is located on the probably central western edge of Uganda. And then I believe part of the park, at least the eastern side, is located. Wait a second. I said that wrong. It's central eastern Uganda. Central western Kenya has the eastern part of Mount Elgin National Park. It's also a very small park as well. It's only like 497 square miles, or pushing around what, 1,000 square kilometers. So is this one of the pictures of elephants in the area?
I always think it's funny when you say something is 450 square miles. Oh, that's small.
So, in an email interview, Powell said a number of factors could explain the elephant's return, though it's impossible to say for certain what's prompted them to reestablish themselves. These include the growth of the elephant population on the Kenya side, increasing human pressure on the Kenya side, the relative safety for them on the Uganda side, as it is all national park, unlike in Kenya. Oh, that's interesting considering it looks nearly identical in terms of like the smaller sliver of land compared to the Ugandan area. It's all pretty much connected. I will say though, outside of this specific area, it's quite fragmented when it comes to the habitat. So it can be quite confusing as to what seems like pristine habitat and what is not. So, I also like wonder what specific herds and like of elephants are coming here, as well as what are their migration paths. So, and maybe the elephants alive from the time when others of them were killed in Uganda have now died naturally. So their memory of what happened in Uganda may
Oh,
have
wait.
passed.
Read that again. Did I hear that wrong?
Maybe the elephants alive from the time when others of them were killed in Uganda have now died naturally, and so their memory of what.
Wait. It's still throwing me.
Yeah, it's a bit oddly.
Others of them were killed in Uganda, have now died naturally. What?
I don't get it. Um,
They were killed,
maybe in
but
a
now they died naturally after they were killed.
yeah, I don't get it. Maybe in a belly sore was feeding on them, and now they died due to
They're already
um,
dead.
overeating of acacias. So, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. In the late 1970s and 80s, elephants in Uganda and other parts of East Africa were aggressively hunted by ivory traffickers, including by combatants in Uganda's civil war. Caroline Simwe, responsible for research and ecological monitoring at the Uganda Wildlife Authority, said the elephant crossings from Kenya back into Mount Elgon on the Uganda side is a sign of species recovery. Mount Elgin used to historically host elephants, but then they disappeared when the habitat was degraded. With the restoration progress that Uganda Wildlife Authority is making, we have seen elephants return. Okay, so we're going to bring up some animals that have not been around for some time, but heading back to the Pleistocene or the Ice Age or even the Pliocene epoch. So let's bring up
So, ones that haven't been killed and then died?
yeah. So Anancus. So Anancus should bring up like a mastodon gomphothere sort of animal. So, they're back in Africa. I think when it comes to the Ice Age, even shortly beforehand, the Pliocene epoch, at least the past 8 million years, Africa, to an extent, tends to be somewhat ignored. But really, especially as you hit the Ice Age or the Pleistocene epoch around 2.6 million years ago, and people really only have their minds on pretty much everywhere else. Actually, a lot of the time, even Antarctica tends to be ignored, which is interesting considering it's um, somewhat chilly. So when it comes to Ananchus, it is the animal on the left-hand side. It's the shorter proboscidean or in quote elephant species. And this is technically an animal that probably weighs somewhere around 6 to 7 tons. Now, why the I guess well, I'll mention him shortly afterwards. But it is a member of the mastodon lineage of proboscideans, and it seems to be one of the only species of earlier mastodons that would inhabited the Pleistocene, the early Pleistocene specifically. So somewhere around 2.3 million years ago in Africa, like different parts of southern Africa, as well as even northern Africa, so different parts of probably Algeria, Niger, over in maybe even Ethiopia. And the horses, the rhinos, and the hippos in this picture are not the same species of zebras, hippos, and rhinos exist today. So, also, that's not an elephant right next to the mastodon either. Well, it's not today's elephants, and it's also not a mammoth. Probably has a bit closer of a look to a Colombian mammoth. It is much larger. This is technically Paleoxodon iodocensus, which can weigh over 15 tons, as wide as dwarfing the mastodon or the Ananchus. But Ananchus could probably become a bit larger. Okay, now let's head over to that other picture. This is another good illustration of the Ananchus. It could possibly have a little more size or muscle to it. But when you look at the mastodons in general, they tend to have a bit more of like a longer sort of a physique to them. Unlike the mammoths, which in terms of length are a bit shorter. But when it comes to their height, that's probably where the mastodon might supersede them when it comes to stockiness. So mastodons might be, or they were a bit more heavily built or robust, and the mammoths just had a lot more height and in some cases fat. That is, unless you're comparing the Colombian mammoth or even different Paleoxodon species with mastodons that they coexisted with, because in these different ecosystems that they inhabited, it was a much more mild climate,
Hey, I
like
found a real one.
much further north. Oh yeah, this is a really good depiction of an Ananchus abernensis. So, this animal probably had tusks that exceeded well over 11 feet in length. They're pushing over 3.2 meters and was likely feeding on different species of trees in the region. It probably wasn't really that much of a grazer, unlike today's different species of elephants, especially African bush elephants. African forest elephants tend to be more of leaf eaters, so occasionally they might be feeding on certain grasses and definitely fruits. It is possible that these species of mastodons were feeding on fruits as well. They did have to be concerned about different species of predators, especially certain species of cats in the region that they inhabit, different regions of Africa that they existed in, as well as hyenas, but different species of cats and mustelids, which the family mammals hyenas belong to, compared to today's. They were much larger. Okay, so. Oh,
It
I.
looks like clay.
Yeah, it does. I don't know what game this is from. Jurassic World thing? No idea, but they're definitely giving it very long and also like somewhat slightly curved. I mean, I've seen Ananchus reconstructions where they give slightly curved tusks to the animal. It's certainly possible, but it is different from today's elephants considering their tusks in some instances would have somewhat have curved downwards. Um I guess you could even say like the earlier dinotheres, which were a bit more closely related to the different species of mastodons. Yeah, this isn't a bad representation. I think this is like from a picture in the 1940s or 1950s. I think it's really good.
1966 book, The Age of Monsters
Oh,
by
okay.
Dr. Joseph Augusta.
I might have heard of the paleo artist. 'Cause I was going to say it's definitely not Charles R. Knight, but it looks pretty good. I mean, likely these animals were social. Seems to be that way with nearly every species of later Proboscidean. Though it's very possible if you head back to the Eocene and the Paleocene epochs, so between around 36 million years ago to 65 million years ago, is when you had some of the earlier smaller species of proboscideans, in some cases not being much larger than a Jutland pig. So maybe weighing somewhere around 200 pounds or a little over 90 kilograms. Did you find another odd mastodon or
Oh, wait a minute. No, too small.
now? Technically, when it comes to today's elephants, um, Loxodonta, which is the genus of elephant in which, yeah, this is probably very accurate. In fact, it looks like one or two of today's elephants breeding, and they just increased the size of the tusks. And you can tell there's a somewhat like shorter sort of a level to their stature, but
I would think this would be extremely dangerous.
well, yeah, I mean that is, I mean, I think it would be as well. I mean, I'm guessing they were being, quite gentle, but yeah, that's still quite risky.
You're gonna shish kebab your mate.
Yeah, it's very risky. Okay, let's head back to the article. So, using our drone technology, we saw a herd of elephants coming back, and since November, they have not returned to Kenya. Well, that's interesting considering that's the wet season. Okay, somebody in a cave. Mount Elgin National Park's montane forests are home to more than 300 bird species, including the endangered Lemurgeyer gabitus barbatus. Lemurgeyer. Is that a monkey? And to mammals including leopards, oribi, and elephants. On both sides of the border, the mountain is a UNESCO biosphere reserve. But as some ways said, communities living in Bukwo and other districts around the mountain had severely degraded large areas, causing elephants to move to neighboring Kenya. Until these communities were removed and we tried to restore the habitat, then we are seeing the elephants coming back. That's funny. Mount Elgin is an important catchment area for water, and the UWA official told Mongabay the authority has been working to restore degraded forest. The park is regenerating on its own, although UWA is growing some trees, said Samuel Nagario, a community elder from Septet village in Bakwo district, told Mongabay. We now have artificial non native trees, cypress and eucalyptus, and the elephants are now entering regenerated areas.
And that's a good thing?
Yeah, the problem is especially with trees like eucalyptus. I mean, even cypress, they're going to be changing the soil chemistry. There are other things that can be affecting habitat for different species of birds, even the mammals themselves. But eucalyptus, especially down in South Africa, one of the problems that towns like Cape Town, Johannesburg, that they were having in recent years is that the eucalyptus were sucking up um, a lot of water, and this, I would assume, in different areas is also causing a big problem as well. So I don't know what necessarily the benefits would be of cypress and eucalyptus for the elephants. Don't
Koalas?
what?
Koalas?
I mean, yeah, I guess if they spawn out of the eucalyptus, but um
I mean, that they were migrating.
oh, yeah, well
I
that
mean,
would be
it's a quite a swim, but
yeah, that would be quite concerning. But yeah, maybe they'd probably add to the pulement of Mount Elgin. So people living near the park have cautiously welcomed the return of elephants. The surrounding communities accepted the return. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna just skip through this, being a bit repetitive. Okay, well, here's a picture of sees of a female and they're young. I believe this is one of the caves where at night at certain times of the year they go to extract some salt.
it doesn't even look real.
It was probably taken with a camera.
Well,
Um,
did
well,
did
well,
you just say it was probably taken with a camera?
I meant a trail camera. But what was the other thing? Oh, the reason why he likely has this type of orange sort of. accumulation on his skin is because he was probably rolling around in the like orange reddish dirt in the region, which confused me for years. I always thought that there were different species of elephants that were being photographed, and the harsh truth was they were just rolling around in dirt. Oh yeah, it's just scratch marks from their tusks. Okay, yeah, there's a herd.
It's just interesting they go into a cave.
Yeah, and I don't think it's the only herd either. I think there are a handful of herds that head over to this cave to extract some salt. So they are essentially just 5-ton miners coming into here.
Well, when I want salt, I always go lick on a wall.
Um. Oh, yeah. I guess these pachyderms would accept that. I find that quite strange.
Hey, if sheep can lick on you for salt, or goats, is it
Oh,
goats or
yeah,
sheep?
the mountain goats over in Washington. Yeah, they're not very nice about that. Or when it comes to that instance. So they're over in Kaitum Cave. So UWA's Asimwe told Manga Bay that the Wildlife Authority plans to train communities to grow crops that are less palatable to elephants as a way to reduce potential conflict. Let's see. Is there anything else? So, the elephants on Mount Elgin are known to enter caves in search of sodium rich material, carving the cave's walls into distinctive curved shapes. In February, MEF's POWs visited the Ugandan side of the mountain and found old tusking marks in the same distinctive shapes. Locals also shared stories of how elephants had used caves here in the past. As elephants reclaimed their historic range on Mount Elgin, the challenge now lies in balancing conservation success. um, okay. Yeah, it said that earlier. Actually, there was one more animal. I like to go back to the Ice Age to find the bear Agriotherium. So Agrioth. Oh, it showed up.
Okay, this is strange.
Hmm. That is odd.
It doesn't say that's who it is, but the picture came up and I found it interesting.
Well, it could be possible considering Agriotherium was also around really towards the early part of the Pleistocene and possibly over towards the end of the Pliocene epoch as well. So this is somewhere around possibly 3 million years ago. So it's likely you might have had it where occasionally there were beached whales or the ancient toothed whales distantly related to today's sperm whales, as well as the large Otodus megalodon um, be cast ashore. Though I doubt this is even a full grown specimen. But the Agriotherium is really one of the only bears to exist this late into the Cenozoic era over in Africa. And it has been found in different parts of, I believe, Central Africa, like Ethiopia.
Okay, how small is this deer?
Hmm. It's not a deer. It's a giraffe.
Oh,
It's a Cybotherium. There were also, yeah, I mean, definitely the Pliocene. You still had several different species of short giraffes. Today, we just have the okapi, and then those odd, I think the ones over in certain fenced off areas in Namibia with genetic issues. But I guess we'll just keep them out of the conversation. So, Agriotherium was about the size of today's Kodiaks. It's possible it could reach somewhere between 15 to 1,600 pounds or a little over 1,300 kilograms. So, it was likely feeding on different species of giraffes as well as maybe certain deer in the area as well, I believe. Well, not necessarily deer, closer relatives of the pronghorn in the area and maybe even going after the earlier mastodons and mammoths that used to inhabit Africa as well, but younger individuals. and was likely feeding on a wide variety of different species of plants, especially different types of fruit in the region. I don't know if there's any evidence for this animal, like the Kodiak, feeding on different species of fish. It certainly is possible. There are catfish that are native to southern Africa, well as there's a wide variety of fish in different areas of sub Saharan Africa in general. But it's just a bit of a question when it comes to Agriotherium. There seems to be a Nimravid or a Thylacosmilid in the towards the side. But anyway, um, okay, there is another elephant I'd like to bring up. So Mammothus africanus. So Mammuth, US, and then separate name AFRICA. Oh, it popped up. So, this is a species of mammoth that is related to the woolly mammoth as well as the steppe mammoth that will evolve slightly later into the Pleistocene epoch. But Mammuthus africanus has been found in different parts of North and Central Africa. So this animal likely weighed well over 8 tons, possibly larger, and likely also coexisted with a large Paleoxodon species that inhabited Africa as well. So these were closely related species, but both belong to distinct genre, and it likely also coexisted with the different ancestors to today's African forest and African bush elephants, despite those animals still being members of the genus Loxodonta. So yeah, these are all really good representations of the Mammuthus africanus. When it comes to the physique of these mammoths, it is interesting. It's quite similar to the later Colombian mammoth and steppe mammoth to an extent over in North America. Though those animals wouldn't evolve until later. Also, when it comes to this specific mammoth, considering even though it was the Ice Age, much of Africa was still quite warm and quite a mild climate compared to different parts of Asia, Europe, North America. We could even include Antarctica, but we don't have any species of mammoths or saber-toothed cats, hyenas roaming Antarctica. It's really just roamed or ruled by different species of predatory whales and seals, much like today. And when it comes to Australia, it seems like you did have different species of large marsupials roaming the continent at the time. So they were thriving at this point, like the giant rhino sized wombats. But at this point, this seems to be one of the only species of mammoths to exist over in Africa during the late Pliocene epoch, as well as the early Pleistocene. So, probably not coming into contact with the steppe mammoth or the woolly mammoth. There were different species of rhinos and hippos that it coexisted with that also were not today's rhinos and hippos. However, those specific species would head further north into different parts of southern Europe, as well as maybe even to Central Asia. But this animal seemed to have stayed put for the most part over in Africa, not really even venturing into Asia. However, unlike the mastodon, this animal was likely feeding on really only different species of grasses, considering mammoths in general were specifically grazers. Now, I think what is interesting is considering it was living in a much milder and warmer climate, it's still this mammoth is still characterized as having quite small ears compared to its body size. They are larger, or they're reconstructed as being larger than the woolly mammoth, the Colombian mammoth. But for some reason, it seems that the mammoths in general did not evolve, or they're not. Even these southern mammoths are not depicted with large ears, and it's as if they're for some reason just genetically designed to be small, which is something that we see with the Asian elephant today over in different parts of India and Southeast Asia. They live in a relatively warm climate, but they don't have very large ears, which is odd. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else left in the article. No. Okay. Well, it's good to hear that they're popping up now and then in Mount Elgin National Park. It's still a bit of a mystery. It's almost like they're coming over for salt and then they're leaving. So, let's head back in time to the Mesozoic era. So, from Sci News, new bird like dinosaur identified in Spain. A new genus and species of troodontid dinosaur that lived 66 million years ago at the very end of the Cretaceous period has been identified from an isolated bone found in Catalonia, Spain. Wow, this is not something you hear often. A troodontid in Spain. Southern Europe in general Europe in general is not really known for scoring different species of troodontids. Dromaeosaurs, however, do pop up in different times of the Cretaceous period over in Europe. But troodontid is more of something that you are going to run into in different parts of North America and Asia. Europe is quite strange. So this is a very miraculous discovery. Seems to have of like different morphological characteristics in common with different species of birds or even microraptorids. Doesn't seem to be like a basal troodontid. Tamaro inspiratus lived in what is known as the Ibero-American island during the latest Maastrichtian age of the Cretaceous period, about 200,000 years before the end Cretaceous mass extinction. During the latest Cretaceous, 77 to 66 million years ago, in the run up to the end Cretaceous mass extinction, Europe was a series of islands populated by diverse and distinctive communities of dinosaurs and other vertebrates, said Dr. Albert Celeste, a paleontologist in the Institut Català de Paleontologia, Miquel Crucifon at the Universitat Autónoma de Barcelona, the Museo de la Conca Della, and his colleagues. Many of these animals exhibited peculiar features that may have been generated by lack of space and resources in their insular habitats. Tomorrow inspiratus was a type of troodontid or troodontidae, a group of bird-like theropod dinosaurs that includes kiwi size or zero point 0.8 kilograms. I think it's pushing around 2 pounds. Like, well, maybe like 1.7, 1.8 pounds for my long to Rhea size species, or 47 kilograms, or pushing somewhere around 90 to 100 pounds for Troodon formosus. Let's bring up just Troodon in general, considering they are occasionally mentioned. Troodon.
I'll start with your favorite. Oh,
He's popped up for a wide variety of different dromaeosaurs. I don't think just Troodon. I think for troodontids in general, this individual has too robust of a jaw structure. Troodontids tend to have a much longer and narrow jaw structure. This is better. Seems to be a bit of an older representation. The hands are oddly placed for the one in the background. I don't know what species of mammal this is. It looks like a something between a coati, a possum, and a rat. But yeah, also they seem to be or have been devoid in feathers. This one isn't bad. I don't know what specific um show or
I think it's just someone's model.
well, I'm guessing it could be primeval. But outside of that, this is not a bad reconstruction. I think there might be something off about the arms, but certain species of troodontids had smaller um arms for some reason. Though there have been a wide variety of different species of troodontids. There have been well over um, 13 different species of troodontids that have been discovered, but many of them, it's also a big question as to whether or not they're valid or not, because in many cases with troodons, there are only fragments of their skeletons that have been discovered. So, like maybe certain teeth, a few claws, some damaged vertebrae, and that's about it. So many of them are a big question. This almost has like more of a velociraptor sort of accumulation to it. However, as you can see, the claws, especially the sickle claw, are quite small compared to velociraptor in general. Many members of the dromaeosaur lineage. The troodontids, for some odd reason, did not evolve very long sickle claws. They were quite short. Still likely very much able to dismember smaller like dinosaur hatchlings, going after rodents, smaller amphibians, reptiles.
Looks like ducks.
Yeah, they do to an extent. Doesn't seem that troodons in general would have been like aquatic or even semi-aquatic. They likely had the ability to swim, but
Well, they don't
not.
have flipper feet. They just their faces look well,
Well,
not the one laying down, but the one standing up just looks like a duck.
that's another thing when it comes to like different species of spinosaurs. We do have evidence for those animals having much wider toes compared to certain many other lineages of dinosaurs, are indicating that they might have had webbed feet or possibly also having certain preserved skin. Troodontids, this doesn't seem to be the case. Looks like they were mainly explicitly terrestrial carnivores. Yes, a bit of an older reconstruction, but showing a very lightly built, lean Troodon. I think it looks really good. I mean, even when it comes to the feathers, they're pretty well splayed out. It also, because of how lightly built Troodons are, it's very unlikely that they were going after larger prey items, as it seems that this might have been quite a risk. Now, that might not have been the case for certain larger species like the Alaskan Troodon, which it's possible that animal was reaching somewhere between 2 to 300 pounds or more. So pushing somewhere between 100 and 150 kilograms. So the presence of troodontids in Europe has been debated for a long time, mainly because its record was entirely based on isolated teeth until now.
Wait, I'd stop you.
That tends to occur with a wide variety of troodontids. I don't think this is bad. He's got a bit of a velociraptor sort of like upper jaw. Actually, I'd say the skull structure in general, to him, but I don't think it looks bad. The claws might be a little long. I'm, I'm really not sure if I could classify this as Troodon. I think it's overall good appearance, especially with the snowy background. It's probably referring to a North American species of Troodontid, which did live in the snow. The oldest troodontid evidence in Europe dates back to the early Cenomanian age, around 100 to 94 million years ago, and is based on the discovery of one isolated tooth in western France. The discovery of Tomaro inspiratus in the latest Maastrichtian deposits from southern Pyrenees. So, this is the mountain range that separates both Spain and France. There's little Andorra in the middle, represents the first unequivocal bone evidence of this group of small sized non avian theropods in Europe, and confirms the occurrence of troodontids in the theropod faunal assemblage of that continent. Yeah, I mean, this is a bit refreshing to hear. So it's like, um, I guess Europe, North America, and Asia are just all like, all right, we're all in this together. We've all got troodons. Maybe South America, but it's not hitting me if we have specific evidence of troodontids from South America. We do have certain species of dromaeosaurs from Lake Cretaceous over on the continent, as well as Antarctica as well. So let's see. Wow, that's really good to see a full, intact part of a metatarsal bone or an ankle bone of this troodontid. That's really good to see. Seems to be, pretty well preserved, not too damaged. But it's a shame the rest of it is not there. So the 66 million-year-old isolated bone of Tomaro inspiratus was discovered in September 2003 by a team of paleontologists from the Museo de la Conca della at the site of Sant Roma de Abella in Catalonia, Spain. Its unique combination of anatomical characters allows its identification as a new species. Furthermore, its histology shows a growth pattern in which it grew fast in early autogeny, but reached subadult size quickly. Hmm. Yeah, I guess this has been a bit of a question with certain smaller species of theropod dinosaurs. Definitely the larger species, it took a much, I mean, it could take more than 20 to 25 years for the animals to reach full size, especially with the larger allosaurs, carcharodontosaurs, the tyrannosaurs, spinosaurs. According to the authors, Tomorrow Inspiratus appeared within the faunal turnover on the Ibero Armorican island in the early Maastrichtian age, which helps define the origins and timings of the migratory waves that brought the newcomers to the European archipelago.
Wait, what is the archipelago?
It's usually a series of islands in a certain area of the like of a certain landmass, kind of like Kodiak Archipelago in southern Alaska.
Oh,
What
it's a
else?
descriptive term. Okay.
Yeah, I can also include like parts of the mainland, just slivers. Um, okay, so I guess let's bring up species of hadrosaur from the Cretaceous. So Telmatosaurus. So Telmatosaurus.
I don't know why I heard tomato when you were saying that. I'm like, a tomato source?
Yeah, it's possible somebody could confuse that with fruit.
Oh, wait, fix that.
So during the late Cretaceous, like at this exact time, though possibly slightly earlier, I'd say around 67 million years ago, you had it where over in Hungary and Romania, like different species of hadrosaurs and dromaeosaurs roaming the different islands in the region. And also in this area, you had quite small dinosaurs. So even like back in Spain, probably one of the reasons as to why the Trodontid is so small is because even Spain had a series of islands and wasn't a full intact landmass, as well as adjacent France, Germany, possibly only fragments come in from the Cretaceous.
How do you think they
Uh,
got him to stand still so they could sketch him like that?
Yeah, I mean, and also in this case, he looks almost like an oviraptorid to some extent, and not necessarily a hadrosaur. So, at this point, and over in Hungary, yeah, this is from Prehistoric Planet. The hadrosaurs were not really much more than 12 to 14 feet in length. They're pushing right around 4 meters, and probably didn't weigh much more than 1,300 pounds, or pushing around 600 kilograms. Jeez. He's like, "Hey, I'm in Europe too. I might have lived back in the mid Jurassic 170 million years ago, but I count. This is Megalosaurus." And apparently it likes to continuously be included. It's like, I was the first to be discovered. You have to always mention me. So, yeah, this was a 30-foot long, 3-ton species of megalosaurid carnivore that inhabited England during the mid Jurassic. It did not come into contact with any species of hadrosaur because the hadrosaur is not evolved yet. Even species of ornithopods, it seems. Well, maybe earlier ancestral forms.
Oh, I have a good one.
Definitely not the dromaeosaurs. They had not evolved yet. Oh yeah. This is almost like a Maiasaura sort of depiction, but Maiasaura existed a bit earlier into the Cretaceous, around 75 million years ago in Montana and Alberta, and even to Wyoming. Whereas Telmatosaurus was explicitly restricted to the different island chains of Central Europe. It did coexist with smaller species of um, of sauropods in the region that probably didn't reach much more than 2,000 pounds, or a little over 950 kilograms. So, Tomatosaurus, you could say, for the island was a decent sized species of herbivore. It did have to be considered, well, I mean, concerned about different species of raptors like Balar. And so Balar is a definitely larger species of raptor compared to the different species of troodontids, but it was probably only slightly larger than the dromaeosaurs that it coexisted with, like in terms of time.
Size of what? What size?
Oh, probably pushing somewhere around maybe 40 to 70 pounds or a little over 20 to 30 kilograms.
So twice the size of a large raptor, velociraptor.
Pretty much, it seems. I mean, considering it's going after much larger prey items compared to, or likely, compared to Velociraptor, it's also much more heavily built. I mean, this animal, when it comes to Balar, it has that distinctive Dromaeosaur sort of robust jaw structure, or at least similar to Dromaeosaurus. Now, Dromaeosaurus existed a bit earlier in time over in Alberta and Alaska around 75 million years ago. So this was a few million years before Balar would have evolved. I'm guessing it's just a couple from that specific picture. They're definitely giving the Tomatosaurus a very robust
Oh, it
look
is. It's the
overall.
first two. I didn't realize that.
It's almost a bit like certain representations of hadrosaurs, like possibly from the 1990s. Which, I mean, I think it still looks good. It almost has, like, this, distinctive iguanodon sort of skull structure.
Okay, I don't know who this is. It doesn't say.
Probably because Tomatosaurus, it could be him. He's just, very wide. This looks like a 1950s or 1960s reconstruction. Um, Also giving him, like, a more semi-aquatic sort of a lifestyle. But Tomatosaurus is not a true member of the Hadrosauridae lineage of ornithopods. It's technically just classified as a hadrosauromorph. So it's a really big question as to what specifically it is.
Okay,
It's
nothing to do with what you're talking about, but I just liked it.
Oh yeah, this seems to be one of those older representations from 1920s, 1930s. I mean, I think it looks really good, but at least for the time, I'm guessing this could be a Brontosaurus and an Allosaurus altercation.
Ooh.
I mean, at that point, not many species of dinosaurs had been discovered. There were a number back in the 1800s that were discovered, like just simply by Edward Drinker Cope and Othniel Charles Marsh, but even Ernst Stromer. Um, who else? There's a wide variety of other paleontologists, just not hitting me at the moment. The Reverend Edward Hitchcock over in New England. These paleontologists had discovered quite a variety, and not just of dinosaurs, but even marine reptiles themselves, different species of pterosaurs. And also at this time, you have to include the different prehistoric mammals of the Cenozoic era and proto mammals from the Triassic period and the Permian period. This could be a reconstruction from the 1960s, 1970s, possibly. I mean, they still had it where in many representations they were showing, especially the long-necked plesiosaurs beaching, well, not necessarily beaching themselves.
Is that a crocodilomorph?
I guess flopping on land. No, that's a mosasaur. This is back when mosasaurs were still quite depicted as being um, a very lizard-like marine reptile. It is closely, or is likely closely related to today's Komodo dragons, monitor lizards, but in more recent decades, it's been reconstructed as having quite smooth skin
Okay, one more.
and not large osteoderms along its back. This, I believe, is possibly Brontosaurus or Apatosaurus, and I think it's from Charles R. Knight back in the 1910s or the 1920s. I mean, it is really a good reconstruction of these different animals, at least for the time. And it was, I mean, back in the early 1900s, sauropods in general were depicted as being quite aquatic animals, despite these animals likely occasionally going for a swim or um, maybe, I
A
was going to say,
bath?
Well, yeah, definitely going over to clean themselves, but they possibly even wallowed in the mud as well. But feeding exclusively on aquatic plants was probably unlikely. And they were just feeding on different species of conifers, ferns in the area of late Jurassic Wyoming, Colorado, around 150 million years ago. Besides those issues, well, also certain things about the overall um, reconstruction of these sauropods. Another problem is that the tail is dragging on the ground, and that would not have been the case for any species of sauropod, unless possibly it's rearing up on its hind legs to reach higher into the conifers, especially during the dry season when there's less food available. But it also it looks like these different species of dinosaurs would have migrated to different areas, and they wouldn't have sticked in the same general vicinity. Kind of like what The Land Before Time makes people think.
I just realized there's heads sticking up all over the place.
Um, yeah, it's probably because it's trying to depict them all underwater.
Here. Look, here.
Yeah, they're just being depicted as looking for, like, algae and different species of aquatic plants. Is that it?
Yep.
Um, okay. Alright, well, thanks for joining, and from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guy Live Daily News. Happy International Trodontid Day, and remember, nothing is better than all animals all the time.